Hold on one second. We about to get to the bottom of this, ladies and gentlemen. This don't make no sense whatsoever. Welcome to the Dark Waters channel, where we explore mysteries, figure out the truth, dive into politics, and anything else you want to know about. That's what we doing over here, baby. Let's go. What's up, ladies and gentlemen, and one and only James Williams, Dark Waters, and I'm back. And if you are anything like me, when you see a story in the news, get over here, microphone, get over here. If you're anything like me, when you see a story in the news and it keeps popping up in the news, pop, like Pop Goes the Weasel, you're trying to figure out what in Sam hell is going on. And so I see today in the news that Donald Trump Jr. went to Greenland. So I'm sitting there saying, Joe Biden yesterday said, y'all can't use none of this oil off the Gulf Coast. Y'all can't dig for no more oil. And then Donald Jr. says, okay, Sleepy Joe, I'm going to Greenland. And you may be saying to yourself, why in Sam hell are they going to Greenland? Well, let me tell you exactly why. And you need to understand this. Greenland is the world's largest island, ladies and gentlemen. But it's a remote territory in the Arctic as well. And there's a lot going on Greenland. Number one, you got all kind of strategic mineral resources, including Earl. The same thing that we've been fighting wars over, Earl, is right there in Greenland. You got all kind of resources and minerals that you can use to make cell phones, all in Greenland. And then if you was to like flip the globe over and look like this and be looking down on Greenland, right over here, you got Russia. Over here, you got Canada. Right here, you got the U.S. In the middle, you got Greenland. On the other side of Russia, you got that China. And then you start looking, and you see all the trade routes that they got going through the Arctic trade routes. And so
We're a little pressed for time because we only have a couple hours of daylight, so we got to see everything, but we're really excited to be here. Thank you guys so much. Just here as tourists, seeing it, looks like an incredible place. We've been talking about going for a while. I was actually supposed to be here last spring for some of the stuff I do in my free time, but just really excited to be here. Awesome country. The scenery coming in was just spectacular, so just very excited to be here. Thank you. He says hello. Okay. We were talking to him yesterday, so he says hello to everyone in Greenland. Okay.
If you were concerned and you really loved America, and you wasn't like Joe Biden, I mean, you really loved America. You was like, I'm America first. I'm going to treat America like she should be treated. You remember I described to y'all how America herself was kind of like Bruce Willis inside of Die Hard. Remember? In Die Hard, Bruce Willis shooting rockets out the window, blowing stuff up, and then they shot the glass. Hans shot the glass on America. Don't understand, America's up and running. What you just saw Joe Biden do on his way out of the office, he was Hans in Die Hard. And he was like, shoot the glass, shoot the glass.
This morning, a lot of it. Now this, President Biden announcing a ban on new offshore oil and gas drilling across 625 million acres of U.S. coastal territory. This happening just 2 weeks before President-elect Trump takes office. Biden is invoking the 1953 Outer Continental Shelf Lands Act. Okay, this means that Trump would need congressional authority to reverse Biden's ban. Joining me now is American Petroleum Institute President and CEO, Mike Sommers. Mike, great to have you. Thanks very much for being here. This is incredible. I mean, Joe Biden is making all of these changes as he walks out the door. You put out a statement yesterday saying this: American voters sent a clear message in support of domestic energy development, and yet the current administration is using its final days in office to cement a record of doing everything possible to restrict it. Tell us more.
Well, the American people certainly didn't vote for less energy development in the United States. In fact, energy was on the ballot during this election, and energy won. And unfortunately, these kinds of midnight regulations that are being put in place by the Biden administration are going to undermine American energy security and hurt American consumers. That's not what America voted for. And I'm calling today on the United States Congress to lift this new moratorium because it's going to harm consumers and it's going to undermine American energy security.
And so they shot the glass because they couldn't just beat her once she was up and running around. They can't deal with Bruce while he up and running around, so they're going to cut the feet. So now Donald Trump understands that America's feet is cut wide open. Done wrapped the T-shirt on it. Done did everything that could be done. Done pulled all the glass out of it. So now we need to go to the roof. And this is where we going. We going to the roof. We going to Greenland because guess what? It is the point of contention. Because there's a lot going on in Greenland. And I plan to explain it all to you in this video. How I'm going to go about doing that without sounding too crazy, I'm not sure. I ain't going to lie to you. I'm probably going to sound like a lunatic in the process. But that's why you love me. Because I be walking you through it, bit by bit, piece by piece. But dang it, just so you'll know, right now it's 12 noon, the hour of judgment. So we going to have to stop recording. Well, that's that. Prayer time. I'll be back. We're here to talk about Greenland. We're going through the news. Why would Donald Trump buy Greenland when he can rent it? President-elect Donald Trump still wants to buy Greenland, having previously likened it to a giant real estate deal. If so, he seems to have forgotten one relevant precept. Why own when you can profitably rent? I'll tell you why you own it, because you want to ensure that it is America's and that each and every resource is owned by America. Also, you want to make sure that you can do whatever the hell you want to do with it as it pertains to national security. When the U.S. bought its way into the Arctic by purchasing Alaska from Russia in 1867, it was also contemplating making a bid for Greenland, which is geographically part of North America, but constitutionally a part of Denmark. The U.S. also offered Denmark $100 million for Greenland after World War II. It was $100 million in gold. Instead, Washington got a defense treaty centered on Thule Air Base, now Pitufk Space Base, the U.S. military's most northerly installation on the Earth, and strategically critical since the early years of the Cold War. Now, I will tell you what I believe is in this area as well. I believe that there has to be some type of HARP technology deployed up there. It may be Russian HARP or it may be American HARP. But if you watch the cold fronts and how, for example, this Arctic cold front just shot down, it would make all the sense in the world that there is some advanced technology that's in place in that geographical area. Because in order for it to affect the cold fronts that come through that stream, it would need to start there. But nonetheless, let's keep going. Greenland, granted its self-rule in 2009, remains of a vital interest to the United States, roughly as large as Alaska and Texas combined. It sits astride strategic sea lanes like the Northwest Passage in the Greenland-Iceland UK Gap, as well as beneath Arctic flight paths, including those for missiles. Let me see if I can find you guys an image of this so you can, maybe the image is here. And I'll show you why I think this is very significant. Hold on. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. So to understand why this is of strategic importance, let us take a look. So here we have UK, Norway, Sweden, Finland. We might be all right dealing with those people, but what blammo? Russia, Mongolia, China. And so, from a strategic war perspective, if we were to launch war against Russia, truly launch war against Russia, it would be from here. Boom, 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 boom. The fastest way to launch war against China is here. Boom, 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 boom. And so when we start talking about the purchase of Greenland, and this is Alaska over here for you guys who don't know. This is Canada. all of Canada. I didn't mean to do that. Damn it. And we're talking about a mineral rich area. And then we have to deal with the trade routes. I do not know how to use this thing. And I feel like I completely messed up what I was trying to show you guys. We start talking about the trade routes to actually make trade across the seas. And so Russia has already laid claim to the sea here, that this is their sea. And so what Trump says is, okay, if I can, there we go, that's better. If I can get my hands on Greenland, then I can lay hands to all these trade routes. All this is America's. And so the expansion of Russia, China into the into this Arctic area is stalled and stopped. Now, mind you, the globalists and their media are going to say, Trump is crazy. He wants to buy Greenland. Oh, that's so stupid. But we also have to understand there's rare earth minerals in Greenland as well. And as you know, China has expanded to Africa to pursue rare earth minerals. And if I'm not mistaken, China has probably the largest supply of rare earth minerals. So this is land that everybody and their mama won't get their hands on. I'm happy that the man that we elected as president wants to lay siege to it and purchase it, because it's vital to the interest of the world. And if America's going to maintain its status as a world power, then we need to be playing a role in all these different things. Again, here's Russia. There's China. These people are in an alliance. That's why they call it the BRICS nation. So you have the largest portion of the BRICS here. And as you know, Canada has been on a whole bunch of bullcrap with Justin Trudeau. So on our northern border, we got a bunch of clowns up here, right? And so Trump says, no. Just in case we truly need to defend ourselves, we need to own this. Because these dudes is busters. I mean, I'm sorry, they're tricks. So we need to be out here defending ourselves. All right, let me get back to the articles. I want you guys to finish seeing this. Now, I want to be clear with you. I'm not going to say what I feel about climate change because I don't feel like getting no damn flags. But let's just look at some of the justifications that's being laid out for taking over the Greenland.
It's there.
Well, the latest is Greenland is a highway from the Arctic all the way to North America to the United States. It's strategically very important to the Arctic, which is going to be the critical battleground of the future, because as the climate gets warmer, the Arctic is going to be a pathway that maybe even cuts down on the usage of the Panama Canal. And the Russians and Chinese are all over the Arctic. Now,
that didn't go as long as I wanted it to.
It's there.
Well, the latest is Greenland is a highway from the Arctic all the way to North America to the United States. It's strategically very important to the Arctic, which is going to be the critical battleground of the future, because as the climate gets warmer, the Arctic is going to be a pathway that maybe even cuts down on the usage of the Panama Canal. And the Russians and Chinese are all over the Arctic.
Now, when he says the Russian and the Chinese are all over the Arctic, I want you to understand, from a strategic standpoint, the Arctic poses as a strategic territory we need to go into. And then when you go from the woo nature of things and you start talking about the Arctic itself, both the North Pole and the South Pole, and you get into the strange, weird stuff, then we know that, it's believed that there are entrances into the inner earth, both at the North Pole and the South Pole. We're not going to go down that road. We're not going to go that far down the rabbit hole. Right now, we're staying on the topic at hand. We're not going to go that deep. We're not going to go that deep because everybody ain't ready for us to dive into that. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want to take them down that road just yet. But we're going to lay out the case for why this is, number one, why it's important. Number two, why you're going to see everybody making fun of it. And understand that when you see people making fun of it, it's bots making fun of it because it's important. They're most likely either deep state bots or Chinese bots because they want the American people to think he's a clown for doing such a thing. Understand? We on the same page? Are you following me? Can you smell what I'm cooking? And here we go, just from sourcing from the news. The importance of Greenland's position, home to some of the world's largest deposits of rare earth minerals. And understand, in an environment where everyone is building out AI and manufacturing artificial intelligence, which is consuming resources left and right, whether it be for making supercomputers, whether it be for things like Tesla and lithium batteries, which I think is kind of wild. It's to the home of one of the world's largest deposits of rare earth minerals. And then it says strategically positioned between U.S. and Russia for missile defense, very important, would help counter China's growing influence in the Arctic, and home of the space base on our northernmost military outpost. And I think that's the most important thing. And if you look at the map, it's halfway between the USA and Washington, D.C. and Russia. So we talk, when people talk about nuclear war and somebody shooting nukes at America, you see the route that the nuclear weapon would take coming to Washington, D.C. So it's a 4,000-mile trip from Washington to Moscow. All right. It's important, furthermore, to understand that if we take over Greenland, we shorten that trip to 2,000 miles, which means that you could hit them like that. Now, we saw the new technology that Russia had that they rolled out, which looked like something from a space alien movie when it was just blasting the Ukraine. Foof, 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 foof. And so we start talking about strategic military positions. It is a very wise thing to do. Furthermore, the trade routes, and more importantly than anything, Russia is not the worst enemy that we have right now. China is the one that we need to be concerned about because they did their new Arctic Silk Road. And I'll show you about the new Chinese Arctic Silk Road so you can see it. So you'll say, nobody can say, well, DW, you don't know what you're talking about. I need to show it to you. I'm about showing it. 2018, China unveils vision for polar Silk Road across the Arctic. China on Friday outlined its ambitions to extend President Xi Jinping's signature Belt and Road Initiative to the Arctic by developing shipping lanes opened up by global warming. Releasing its official Arctic policy white paper, China says it would encourage enterprises to build infrastructure and conduct commercial travel voyages, paving the way for Arctic shipping routes that would form the Polar Silk Road. China hopes to work with all the parties to build a Polar Silk Road through the developing Arctic shipping routes. The paper issued by the State Council Information Office said China, despite being a non-Arctic state, is increasingly active in the polar region and became an observer member of the Arctic Council in 2013. Did you know there was an Arctic Council? Do I need to show you that there's an Arctic Council? Do I need to show you that? And so, the nation that we're competing against, although our news media wants us to believe Russia, 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 the real nation that we're competing against is China. In fact, when you look at what's been going on around America, everything, and I really believe that the BRICS nations over the past 4 years dealing with Joe Biden have decided they were going to divide and conquer. You look at Russia. Russia is dealing with Europe, right? They're literally laying waste to Ukraine, which is the proxy for Europe and for America, but more so for Europe. And then we have China and Iran. China, through its subversion and buying land in America and buying politicians in America, China is laying siege to America along with Iran. And somebody will say, DW, what Iran got to do with it? What does Persia have to do with it? The biggest state funder of terrorists? Okay, we'll just talk about that later. Talk about that later, child. That boy Dog Waters don't know what he talking about. He don't know nothing. Now, and then I'm going to close it out after this so you'll understand it. I need you to understand. Donald is probably going to go ahead and get Greenland. He's probably going to go ahead and get Greenland, or else he's going to start the negotiations and get what he wants out of Greenland. I believe he's going to go ahead and get Greenland. But when you start looking at him as a real estate developer and somebody who specializes in land acquisition, this is the opening salvo by him sending his son. But the article gives you some real insight into the mind frame of people in Greenland as it pertains to this. I'm going to take my time and read this to you so you'll see. The eldest son of President-elect Donald Trump arrived in Greenland on Tuesday for a private visit. They want to point out that it's private visit that heightened speculation that the incoming U.S. administration would seek to take control of the mineral-rich Danish territory. The Danish state broadcaster reported that Donald Trump Jr.'s plane landed in Nuuk, capital of the vast and icy territory that has some 57,000 residents. Local media broadcasting footage of him walking across the snowy tarmac. In a statement, Greenland's government said Trump Jr.'s visit would take place as, quote unquote, a private individual and not as an official visit, and that Greenlandic representatives would not meet him. Greenland is an autonomous territory that is a part of Denmark. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Min-Iquat Kalist, the permanent secretary, well, he's the permanent secretary of Greenland's Foreign Affairs Department, told the Associated Press that authorities were informed that Trump Jr. would stay for about 4 or 5 hours. Neither Trump Jr.'s delegation nor Greenlandic governmental officials have requested a meeting, Kleist said. The visit nonetheless has political overtones. Yes, it does. That's Trump sending his oldest son to say, hey, just so you guys know that I'm serious about what I'm saying, I'm going to send my oldest. I'm going to send Junior. So Junior just going to touch down. He just going to put his feet on the land. Junior is going to put his feet on the land. If Junior coming, you know Daddy coming, because he sent Junior. Watch this. The president-elect recently voiced a desire, also expressed during his first presidency, to acquire the territory in the Arctic as an area of strategic importance for the U.S., China, Russia, and others. The world's largest island, Greenland, sits between the Atlantic and Arctic Oceans and is home to a large U.S. military base. It is 80% covered by an ice sheet. I'm hearing that the people of Greenland are MAGA. My son, Don Jr., and various representatives will be traveling there to visit some of the most magnificent areas and sites. The president-elect posted on his social media site Monday night, referring to his Make America Great Again movement. Greenland is an incredible place, and the people will benefit tremendously if and when it becomes a part of our nation, Trump wrote. We will protect it and cherish it from a very vicious outside world. Make Greenland great again. Let me tell you something. Don about to go get this place. At minimum, Don is about to renegotiate whatever's going on with the air base and the military bases in this place. At minimum, he's about to renegotiate. At maximum, Don gonna go get it. I'm telling you, that's what's about to happen. And I'll tell you why it's three-dimensional chess being played. So Biden's dumb behind says he's going to ban new oil expeditions and drilling in the Gulf, right? Trump says, okay, you want to ban the oil? Let me go and send my son up here to Greenland and let you know that we got something we can do. Now, the next thing we want to see is what the Biden administration is going to do now that Donald Trump Jr. has been sent there. From a chess perspective, we want to see how they're going to react to his trip. Remember, the article says it wasn't an official trip, but what's the signal that Don is giving, and who is he signaling to? I'll tell you, he's signaling to Russia, to China, to the deep state, to Denmark. It's a signal to everybody that America is in business. It's a signal to the Panama Canal, which he's been talking about how either they're going to reduce the fees for American corporations using the Panama Canal, or he's going to reclaim the Panama Canal, which, quite frankly, China interfered with and got involved in, and now the fees have increased. But you'll see the media making fun of it. You'll see social media making fun of them. And more importantly, I'm going to say this. This is what's obvious. We don't know what's truly beneath the surface of this. But these are the obvious things. I'm going to dive into the more conspiratorial, more outside of the mainstream things. But I wanted to lay the groundwork for this. Now we're getting ready to dig. So my next video, I'm going to dig. We're going to see what's really historically what the hell was in Greenland. I know one thing. The Germans was in Greenland. I know that to be true. They had some kind of radio tower there. And we know that them dudes was wilding on their technology. We know that them dudes was, I mean, they started off, Mengele did all kind of stuff. He did cloning, what they call twinning. Them dudes was on some next level stuff. They was outsourcing technology from fucking demonic realms. Them dudes was wild. So I can believe that beyond the natural resources that are there, beyond the strategic location of what it is, beyond the economic location, there's something else going on. You might know what it is. You might save me some time and point me in the right direction. So I don't have to be like racking my brain trying to figure out what it is. I don't mind racking my brain for you, baby. But if you know and you're smart, put it in the comments. Say, hey, DW, I think you're missing out on this. Hey, DW, maybe you should take a look at this. And I promise you, I'm going to look at it. Because that's what I do. When it don't make no sense, we go figure out what makes sense. You understand what I'm saying to you, Woody, son? Yeah, Woody. We going to figure it out, Woody. That's all it is to it.